Silence in conversations feels heavy. Our brain craves connection and flow. When words stop, we suddenly become hyper-aware of the gap, imagining that others are judging us for the pause. Humans are wired to avoid social discomfort. A quiet moment triggers subtle anxiety. The longer the pause, the louder our inner voice screams. Am I boring? Did I say something wrong? We overthink the pause. Silence becomes a spotlight on ourselves. Every little gesture, glance, or cough feels amplified, making the moment feel far more intense than it actually is. Yet, silence is natural. Not every moment needs words. But our mind resists this truth. We interpret silence as rejection, disinterest, or failure, even when the other person feels nothing negative. When conversation resumes, relief floods in. The brain rewards speech because it reduces uncertainty. Small talk feels safer than silence, even if it's meaningless, just to restore the social rhythm. Interestingly, silence can actually deepen understanding. Pauses give space to reflect, to process, and to listen. Yet our instincts often push us to fill it, fearing awkward judgment. Shared silence can become comfortable when we stop overthinking. Humor, empathy, and genuine listening turn quiet moments into connection. Awkwardness fades when presence matters more than words. Sometimes, a small memory can suddenly feel warm and safe. Nostalgia begins when our mind travels back to familiar moments. These memories remind us of times when life felt simpler, predictable, and emotionally secure. Our brain connects past experiences with comfort because they are already known. Unlike the uncertain present, old memories don't surprise us. They feel safe because we already survived them, making our mind relax and let its guard down. Nostalgia often brings people into our thoughts, family, friends, and moments of belonging. These memories remind us that we were once loved, accepted, and connected. This sense of belonging gives emotional warmth during lonely or stressful times. When life feels overwhelming, the brain looks for emotional shelter. Nostalgia works like a mental escape, pulling us away from pressure and anxiety. It gives us a temporary break, helping us feel calm when reality feels too heavy. Sounds, smells, or visuals can instantly trigger nostalgia. A song or scent unlocks stored emotions in the brain. These sensory memories bring back feelings, not just images, making comfort feel real and deeply personal. Nostalgia reminds us of who we were and how far we've come. It creates emotional continuity, helping us feel stable. By connecting past and present, our identity feels stronger, more meaningful, and less lost in change. Feeling nostalgic isn't weakness, it's emotional self-care. The brain uses comforting memories to regulate emotions and reduce stress. Nostalgia reassures us that joy existed before and can exist again, offering quiet emotional hope. Nostalgia feels comforting because it blends safety, connection, and meaning. When used gently, it supports emotional balance. Remembering the past doesn't trap us. It reminds us that we've survived before and can move forward again. Silence in conversations feels heavy. Our brain craves connection and flow. When words stop, we suddenly become hyper-aware of the gap, imagining that others are judging us for the pause. Humans are wired to avoid social discomfort. A quiet moment triggers subtle anxiety. The longer the pause, the louder our inner voice screams. Am I boring? Did I say something wrong? We overthink the pause. Silence becomes a spotlight on ourselves. Every little gesture, glance, or cough feels amplified, making the moment feel far more intense than it actually is. Yet, silence is natural. Not every moment needs words. But our mind resists this truth. We interpret silence as rejection, disinterest, or failure, even when the other person feels nothing negative. When conversation resumes, relief floods in. The brain rewards speech because it reduces uncertainty. Small talk feels safer than silence, even if it's meaningless, just to restore the social rhythm. Interestingly, silence can actually deepen understanding. Pauses give space to reflect, to process, and to listen. Yet our instincts often push us to fill it, fearing awkward judgment. Shared silence can become comfortable when we stop overthinking. Humor, empathy, and genuine listening turn quiet moments into connection. Awkwardness fades when presence matters more than words. Every morning follows a pattern. Wake up, brush, eat, repeat. These small routines may feel ordinary, but they create a sense of control in an unpredictable world. The human brain dislikes uncertainty. When things feel unpredictable, stress increases. Routines reduce mental effort by telling the brain, "You've done this before. You're safe." Routines turn actions into automatic behaviors. This saves mental energy because we don't have to make new decisions every time. Less decision-making means less stress. Familiar actions bring emotional comfort. Repeating known patterns creates a sense of stability, especially during difficult or uncertain periods of life. Even as children, routines signal safety. Bedtime rituals, family dinners, and daily habits teach the brain that predictable structure equals protection and care. When the outside world feels chaotic, routines give us something steady to hold on to. They create a small area of control inside uncertainty. But too much dependence on routine can create anxiety when plans change. Flexibility is important. Safety shouldn't turn into fear of change. Healthy routines provide structure without trapping us. When we combine stability with flexibility, we feel secure, without becoming controlled by habits. Why do I keep doing things I later regret? Why do my reactions control me instead of the other way around? What if I try to understand what I feel instead of ignoring it? Maybe my emotions are signals, not problems. I am not my emotions. I can notice them, understand them, and choose my response. Now I see why I act this way. My patterns explain my problems, and awareness gives me power to change them. Self-awareness gives me control. I can choose growth instead of habit, intention instead of impulse. When I understand myself, I understand others better. Awareness improves every connection in my life. Knowing myself removes fear. I stop limiting who I can become. Self-awareness changes everything, because once you understand yourself, you can change your thoughts, choices, and your entire life. Why does my life feel automatic? I react, I worry, I repeat. I never stop to ask why I think or act this way. Maybe I'm not really living consciously, just following habits without understanding myself. What if I observe myself instead of reacting instantly? Why did that comment hurt me? Why do I feel stressed? Maybe understanding my thoughts could change how I experience everything around me. The moment everyone looks at you, your heart races. Public humiliation feels overwhelming because attention suddenly turns into judgment. The spotlight doesn't feel neutral, it feels threatening. Our brain is wired to fear social rejection. Long ago, being excluded from the tribe meant danger. Today, even small embarrassment can trigger that ancient survival alarm. Humiliation lingers because the mind keeps replaying the event. We imagine others remembering it forever. The memory grows larger than reality. Shame makes us feel exposed and small. It attacks our identity, not just our actions. Instead of thinking, "I made a mistake," we think, "I am the mistake." Humiliation isolates. It creates the illusion that we are alone in our flaws. But everyone experiences awkward moments, they just don't talk about them. Most people forget our embarrassing moments faster than we think. They are busy worrying about their own image. But our mind exaggerates the spotlight, making it feel permanent. When we face humiliation instead of hiding, its power weakens. Confidence grows not from avoiding mistakes, but from surviving them. Public humiliation feels unbearable because belonging matters deeply to us. But one moment does not define your worth. The crowd moves on, and so can you. Everyone starts neutral. Power doesn't arrive loudly, it waits patiently, watching who will hold it. Power gives immediate feedback. One action, many reactions. The brain learns fast. Control feels better than cash. Money buys comfort. Power buys influence. Comfort fades, but influence rewires how you see yourself. Power quietly changes perspective. Others start looking smaller, not physically, but mentally. With power, distance grows. Empathy weakens. Decisions become easier when faces turn into numbers. Money changes lifestyle slowly. Power changes behavior instantly, because it removes consequences. Power doesn't corrupt, it reveals. It shows who you become when no one can stop you. Seek self-control, not control over others. Power fades. Character stays. Every human begins equal. No power, no control. Just choices waiting to be made, and tested. Power doesn't announce itself. It arrives silently, disguised as responsibility, opportunity, or leadership. From childhood, rewards teach us what is good. A simple star, praise, or treat connects action with pleasure. Our brain quickly learns. Do this again. When we receive a reward, the brain releases dopamine. This chemical creates pleasure and motivation. It strengthens the connection between behavior and outcome, making repetition more likely. Positive reinforcement means adding something pleasant after a behavior. The brain registers success and pushes us to repeat the same action in the future. Not all rewards are physical. Social approval, compliments, and likes are powerful and visible rewards. They quietly train our behavior without us even noticing. Rewards create habit loops. Cue, action, reward. Once the brain expects pleasure at the end, behavior becomes automatic. Over time, we act without conscious effort. The brain doesn't judge whether rewards are healthy. If something feels good immediately, it reinforces the behavior, even if it harms us long term. Instant rewards are powerful because they satisfy quickly. Delayed rewards require patience. That's why building good habits is harder than falling into unhealthy ones. Understanding rewards gives us control. When we design positive reinforcement intentionally, we can train our own behavior and build habits that support long-term growth. Being alone feels uncomfortable. Humans naturally look for belonging. When a stickman sees others grouped together, he feels a quiet pressure inside. The fear of isolation pushes him to search for his people. Cliques begin with shared interests, humor, or background. It feels safe to stand with those who think and act similarly. Similarity creates comfort, and comfort reduces uncertainty in social situations. Once inside the group, members naturally strengthen their bond. Inside jokes form. Shared opinions grow stronger. Without realizing it, the group starts creating invisible walls between us and them. Cliques protect their identity. Letting someone new in can feel risky. What if they change the dynamic? What if they don't fit? Exclusion becomes a way to protect belonging. People in cliques often adjust their behavior to match the group. Opinions align. Fashion aligns. Even dreams align. Acceptance becomes more important than individuality. Sometimes, members hide their true thoughts to avoid conflict. They agree outwardly to maintain harmony. The fear of rejection keeps honesty locked inside. For outsiders, cliques can feel intimidating or unfair. They may see exclusivity instead of safety. What feels like protection for some feels like rejection for others. Cliques form because humans crave belonging and security. But growth happens when we expand our circles. True confidence isn't about building walls, it's about creating bridges. A simple stickman stands calmly when a tall authority figure points a finger and gives an order. The stickman hesitates but nods anyway, even though his body language shows confusion and inner discomfort. The stickman imagines punishment, angry faces, rejection, loss. Fear clouds his thinking. Obedience feels safer than questioning authority, even if his heart knows something isn't right. The authority figure appears taller, confident, and official. The stickman feels small and unimportant. Power imbalance makes obedience feel automatic, as if questioning authority is not even an option. The stickman looks around and sees others obeying without hesitation. Nobody questions the order. He follows the crowd, assuming that if everyone agrees, it must be the right thing. The stickman tells himself, "I'm not responsible, I was just following orders." Handing over responsibility makes disobedience feel unnecessary and guilt easier to ignore. Inside, the stickman struggles. His heart pulls one way, authority pulls the other. Stress builds as silence replaces courage, and doing nothing slowly feels worse than speaking up. Finally, the stickman pauses and raises his hand. Questioning authority feels terrifying, but choosing integrity brings relief. One brave moment breaks the invisible chain of obedience. Many people create fake personas not to deceive others, but to protect themselves from judgment, rejection, or emotional pain in social situations. Different environments reward different behaviors. Over time, people learn which version of themselves gets approval, safety, or success, and that version slowly becomes a practiced persona. Social pressure pushes people to appear confident, happy, or successful. Fake personas often form to keep up with expectations and avoid feeling inferior or invisible. When love or acceptance feels conditional, people learn to hide parts of themselves. The persona becomes a tool for earning approval rather than expressing authenticity. Fake personas offer control. By choosing what others see, people reduce vulnerability and emotional risk, even if it means disconnecting from their true feelings. Maintaining a false identity requires constant effort. Over time, it can lead to exhaustion, anxiety, and confusion about who they really are. Authenticity grows in safe spaces. When people feel accepted without performance, the need for a fake persona begins to fade. Fake personas are survival strategies, not character flaws. Healing starts when people feel safe enough to be real, and valued for who they truly are. Some people feel a strong desire to control others. Power gives a sense of importance, confidence, and security. But why does having influence over someone else feel so rewarding? Let's explore the psychology behind it. Power often inflates our self-esteem. When people have authority, they feel smarter, stronger, and superior. This boost to the ego is addictive, making them seek more control over others to maintain that elevated feeling. Having power makes people feel safe. Controlling situations and people reduces uncertainty and fear. The world feels predictable when you can direct the actions of others, even if it's just an illusion of security. Power often brings social recognition. People respect or fear those in control. This social approval feels rewarding, reinforcing the desire to dominate. Status becomes a shortcut to feeling valued and admired by others. Power allows people to shape outcomes and decisions. Making others follow their will provides a sense of authority and control. The ability to influence people's choices is both thrilling and satisfying. Seeing others obey can trigger emotional rewards. Power can give feelings of dominance, pride, or excitement. This emotional rush encourages people to keep seeking control over others repeatedly. Two strangers can become close in minutes, just by complaining about the same thing. A bad boss, traffic, exams. Suddenly, there's laughter. Agreement creates connection. Shared frustration feels like shared understanding. Complaining creates a quick, us versus them feeling. When two people criticize the same problem, they subconsciously feel like teammates. A shared enemy, even a small one, strengthens emotional bonding. When someone agrees with our complaints, we feel validated. It confirms that our frustration is justified. That validation feels comforting, like someone saying, "You're not crazy. I feel it too." Complaining often reveals what stresses or hurts us. Sharing that vulnerability builds intimacy. Even negative emotions can bring people closer, because they feel honest and real. Agreement releases small emotional rewards. When someone says, "Exactly," our brain feels a hit of satisfaction. Shared complaints become mini bonding moments, reinforcing connection through repetition. But bonding over negativity can slowly create toxic patterns. If relationships are built only on complaining, they may lack growth, positivity, and deeper meaning. Constant negativity can drain emotional energy. There's nothing wrong with venting. It becomes harmful when complaining replaces constructive conversation. Healthy bonding includes solutions, laughter, dreams, not just shared frustration. True connection grows not just from shared complaints, but from shared values, goals, and growth. Complaining may start the conversation, but meaningful relationships are built on more than mutual frustration. Some people say, "sorry," almost automatically, even when they didn't cause the problem, even when they were hurt. It becomes a reflex, a habit formed not from guilt, but from fear of conflict, rejection, or tension. For many, apologizing is a survival strategy. In childhood, conflict may have felt unsafe. So saying sorry became a way to restore peace quickly. Even if they weren't wrong, avoiding tension felt more important than being right. People who fear disappointing others often apologize to maintain approval. They feel responsible for everyone's emotions. If someone is upset, they assume it must be their fault, even when it isn't. When self-esteem is fragile, a person may default to blame. It feels easier to think, "It's probably my fault," than risk confrontation. Apologizing becomes a shield, protecting them from deeper criticism or rejection. Some cultures and environments reward politeness and harmony over assertiveness. People are praised for being agreeable. Over time, constant apologizing becomes normal, even when no mistake was made. Apologizing can sometimes feel easier than setting boundaries. Instead of saying, "That hurt me," a person says, "Sorry." It keeps the peace, but silences their own feelings. Over-apologizing slowly erodes self-respect. When you constantly take blame, others may start believing you are always at fault. And deep inside, you begin believing it too. True emotional strength means knowing when to apologize, and when not to. You can acknowledge someone's feelings without taking unnecessary blame. Saying, "I understand how you feel," is different from saying, "It's my fault."